This episode is brought to you by DistroKid. Hey, have you heard? I'm coming back to give guided tours at the Punk Rock Museum in Las Vegas, Friday, May 2nd, Saturday, May 3rd, and Sunday, May 4th. 2 tours each day, one at 12:30 p.m. and one at 4 p.m. Get your tickets now at thepunkrockmuseum.com. The Punk Rock Museum, where you can expect the unexpected. Like the time I saw Fletcher from Pennywise and Noodles from The Offspring randomly hanging out on a Tuesday afternoon. Or Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers having a casual stroll through. Or the time myself and a group walked around the corner to find Fat Mike grilling a married couple about their, never mind. Join me Cinco de Mayo weekend, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, as I guide you through 5 decades of punk rock memorabilia, flyers, musical instruments, stage gear, outfits, literature, and so much more. Tickets available now at thepunkrockmuseum.com.
Hey everybody. Every once in a while we like to release an episode of the After Party on the main feed here so that maybe you'll consider joining our Patreon at chrisdemakes.com and getting instant access to hundreds of After Party episodes and a new one every Monday. We depend on your support to keep Chris DeMakes a podcast going, and we get lots of great feedback on the After Party podcast. So yeah, once in a while, we like to put one out here on the main feed for everybody to enjoy. This particular episode that you're about to hear is all about today's date, April 24th, and the things that happened on this day throughout history. I really hope that you all enjoy this episode, and I also hope that you'll check out chrisdemakes.com. Without any further ado, here you go. From April 24th of 2023, this is episode number 102 of the After Party, titled April 24th, the most historic of days.
Welcome to the After Party, ready, set, let's go. Welcome to the After Party, the show after the show. Learn a little something new, join us for the ride. Chris and Chris want all of you to know. The After Party's where it's at, the show after the show.
Well, hey everyone, welcome to the After Party. What's shaking, Chris?
So it's April 24th, Chris. It's a very historic day, and I have lots of things to talk to you about that happened on April 24th. I hope you're excited about this.
I am excited. It is a historic day. It is somebody's birthday.
Spoiler alert.
Yes, it is Mr. Chris Fafalius' birthday. What a wonderful, glorious day.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. That doesn't come for a while. But we're going to start, Chris, on April 24th of 1800. That's where we're starting this episode.
Wow.
When the Library of Congress, which is the research library of the United States Congress, was established by then President John Adams when he signed an act of Congress providing for the transfer of the seat of government from Philadelphia to the new capital city of Washington. So yes, that's the day the Library of Congress was established.
Who says you don't learn things on the After Party?
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that ever. We're going to skip ahead 98 years, Chris. This is a part of history I'm kind of ashamed to say, but there's lots of stuff in history that I don't know much about. But in 1898, Spain declared war on the United States after rejecting America's ultimatum to withdraw from Cuba. Do you know a lot about this time period in history?
Yeah, and I don't really know much about that, Chris.
Yeah, I don't either. Maybe I got to open a history book and learn a little bit, considering this happened on April 24th. But okay. We're going to skip all the way. We're going to get into the 1900s now, Chris. This is when all the good stuff starts happening.
Okay.
In 1934, on April 24th, Shirley MacLaine is born. Are you a Shirley MacLaine fan?
Shirley MacLaine. What movies did she do? She was an actress, yes?
Yes. She's in Terms of Endearment, Steel Magnolias.
Okay, yes. I know who she is.
What I loved her in, and this was way later in her career, is a movie called Bernie. Have you ever seen Bernie? It's from maybe in the past 15 years or so. It's a Richard Linklater film. Richard Linklater, who made Dazed and Confused, and he made School of Rock, and he's made so many good movies. One of my favorite directors. He made Boyhood, Before Sunrise. Amazing director. But Bernie is Jack Black plays. It's a true story about, I think it happened in Texas. he plays this guy who's like a real eccentric, kind of flamboyant funeral home director, but he's also like a member of the choir, and he's like a beloved figure in the town. Everybody loves Bernie, but he starts taking care of this old woman, this old wealthy woman who really, she kind of hates everybody, but takes a liking to Bernie. And he tries to do everything he can for her, like to take care of her. And she kind of like takes care of him financially in turn. But I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler alert, but I think this is part of the story. He ends up killing her. And so it is this amazing movie. It is such an underrated movie, but Shirley MacLaine is the old lady in that movie. That's what that's the role I really love her in. And Jack Black is amazing in it. Like, he transforms into this character. That was the movie where I was like, damn, Jack Black is good.
Did he prepare her in his funeral home after he killed her?
I think so. Yeah. 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 Okay. I think that's part. You should seriously see that movie. It's really good. You like Jack Black?
Of course. He's amazing. I love Jack Black when he was on the underground circuit. I would get VHS tapes of him doing his thing, the Tenacious D thing before anyone knew who they were. So I've been a fan for a long time.
Right.
That sounded really pretentious, like I was there before, but yes, I followed Jack Black's career.
Yeah. I think he's funny. I think he's cool. I mean, I love him in Nacho Libre too. Another really, really great one. We're going to skip ahead 8 years. In 1942, Barbra Streisand was born.
Oh, Barbara.
Yeah, Babs. Anybody ever call her Babs? I feel like that's a thing. I don't know.
The original A Star Is Born.
Yes, true. Obviously, I know who Barbra Streisand is. I don't think that I've ever seen a Barbra Streisand movie or really know any of her music. I'm just not familiar with her work for how famous she is.
Yeah, my mom is a huge fan. Used to sing, Barbra Streisand songs with my dad. She was in a number of movies. I could be wrong about this. I'm going to go out on a limb. I could be wrong. But I think that her star, no pun intended, was so big, Chris, and she was so beloved. I don't think people had too many bad things to say about Barbra Streisand. There was really no controversy. And I think she might have gotten a pass as being an actress back then. I don't recall. I don't recall really seeing her movies. I remember seeing snippets of maybe A Star Is Born and things like that. But I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's my gut, because she's not ever really talked about as an actress these days. You never hear about that. She's just known as a singer. But
Gotcha. Well, I'll have to dig into her. When I'm reading my U.S. history of the late 1800s, I also have to put on a Barbra Streisand movie in the background, or maybe an album or something.
You're going to be a busy guy coming up in the next few weeks, I think.
I know. In 1961, April 24th of 1961, Bob Dylan made his recording debut playing harmonica on Harry Belafonte's Midnight Special album. You know how much he was paid to do that?
$0.
$50. He got $50. Yeah. Which, $50 in 1961, that might be like, I don't know, $250 now? Something?
He probably bought himself a really nice harmonica.
Yeah, that could be it. He could have had, he probably could have got enough money to get a new harmonica. So that's
I
nice.
just got sucked down the rabbit hole of YouTube the other night, Chris, and I watched. Have you ever seen Bob Dylan on the set of We Are the World?
Yes.
And you got Quincy Jones sitting there.
It's amazing.
It is, because I don't think anyone's ever had the delivery that Bob's had. He just has this thing. Can he technically sing great? Well, that could be argued, but what he did and how he took direction, consummate professional. I was so, just my respect for the man was elevated, because I've been in that situation where you're in the hot seat under the mic and you're trying to get a vocal taken. Here he is with the best producers in the world. How's he going to argue with these guys?
Right. Dude, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that. I thought you were going to talk about the music video where when the camera pans to Bob Dylan, everyone else is kind of like moving around, smiling, singing, whatever. And it goes to Bob Dylan and he is just very straight-faced. It's like comical. Watch the video when they pan to Bob Dylan. It's actually really funny. I thought that's where you were going with that.
Oh no, and I saw that too, and it's just because he's sitting there going, "Man, I'm a man known for his words, and this is the cheesiest lyric I've ever been a part of."
Right.
We are the world.
It's funny you mentioned that because that will come back. We are the world will come back in our discussion today.
I love it.
That's a good foreshadowing. In 1962, MIT achieved the first satellite relay of a television signal between Camp Parks, California, and Westford, Massachusetts. That's a pretty big day.
What day was that? What year?
April 24th of 1962.
62.
Yeah, the first satellite relay of a television signal.
Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just kind of tripping on that because I'm like, you and I talked about this the other day. Like, think about where technology is, in the last 20 years, and think of where we've come since 62. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It seems like it all stems from there. 12 years later, April 24th of 1974, Bud Abbott of Abbott and Costello died at age 78. I kind of remember watching some Abbott and Costello stuff when I was like really little, but I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, Abbott Costello was a thing. They were still running their shorts on TV when I was a kid. My grandfather would watch them, and not really my thing. I was more into, I don't know, some of the other black and whites, Little Rascals and things.
The Stooges. I bet you were a Stooges guy.
Yeah, I like the Stooges too. They were great.
I remember watching Little Rascals too. Back in my day, we watched Little Rascals and the Stooges at 5:00 a.m. on a Saturday. Okay, Chris, we're going to skip to the most historic day of all. April 24th, 1980. It was a big day.
It was. It was the day that Mr. Chris Fafalius was born.
Yes.
In Pennsylvania, United States.
And it wasn't the only thing happened in Pennsylvania, Chris. There's a very crazy thing that happened in Pennsylvania on the day I was born.
Your parents decided to have no more children?
Yeah. Yes, that was a very historic day. They were like, one and done. We perfected it. We can't do any better than this.
Yeah. You were a single child before it was fashionable.
Yeah. Well, before I get to the thing that happened on April 24th, 1980 in Pennsylvania, other than me coming to Earth, there was a big world news thing that happened. It would be the day I was born was the day that the U.S. launched an unsuccessful attempt to free the American hostages in Iran.
In Iran, yes.
Yep. It resulted in the death of 8 U.S. servicemen. The mission was to rescue 52 hostages from the U.S. Embassy in Iran. The Iranian foreign minister warned that any attempt by the U.S. would be considered an act of war. The hostages were held for 444 days from November 1979 to January 1981. After a group of students took over the American embassy in support of Iran's revolution. And I guess that was a really big story that happened that day.
It was a big enough deal that I remember it as a 6-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah, it went on that long. It was in the news enough to where my dad was talking about it in the house. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And another really big thing happened in Pennsylvania. Chris, I wonder, this gets talked about a lot in Pennsylvania. My parents remember this guy. They remember watching his shows on TV. Are you familiar with a guy named Nick Perry?
Nick Perry. No, I am not.
Dude, on the day I was born, Nick Perry, he was a local news guy. He actually went to Duquesne University, which is where I went. After he served in the U.S. Navy in World War II, he began a career as a radio broadcaster in Charleston, West Virginia. But then he entered TV broadcasting, first on KDKA. Anyone from Pittsburgh knows KDKA. And then on WTAE. Same thing. If you're from Pittsburgh, you know these are the news stations. He was a news and weather reporter, and he was also the host, my parents will talk about this, of a local sports show called Bowling for Dollars. And then in 1977, he became the host of the live nightly broadcast of the Pennsylvania Lottery, which was at WTAE. They held these things. So he and 2 of his partners in a vending machine business, they weighted the balls in the lottery machine so that only 4s and 6s would come out. So there were only 8 possible combinations of what would come up. So on April 24th, the day I was born, the drawing for the Pennsylvania Lottery, guess what number came out on the day I was born?
6.
6.
6.
That's right. 666 came out on the day I was born for a record payout of $3.5 million, which would be the equivalent of $11.5 million today. And then So it was divided. 1.18 million went to the 8 people in the scam. And 6 million Pennsylvanians watched that night, never knowing that the fix was in. Well, anyway, the lottery authorities and the local bookies became suspicious when they noticed that a large number of tickets were purchased with the 8 possible combos. So on the date of the drawing, the Maragos brothers, those were the brothers that had the vending machine business with Nick Perry, they traveled around Pennsylvania buying large quantities of tickets containing the 8 possible combinations. So anyway, there were a total of 7 people involved in the scam. The Maragos brothers avoided jail time by agreeing to testify against Nick Perry. Nick Perry, this like local celebrity. Nick Perry was sentenced to 7 years in prison. He served 2 at a state correctional institution and spent another year at a halfway house in East Liberty, Pennsylvania. And he remained on parole until March of 1989. He had an unsuccessful attempt to return to broadcasting in the late 80s, and he died April 22nd of 2003, having never admitted to any role in the plot. So after this, that established the Pennsylvania Lottery took greater precautions. The drawing was moved to Harrisburg. The broadcasting rights were taken away from WTAE. And then, I mean, this is like a huge story. In the year 2000, they made a film called Lucky Numbers starring John Travolta and Lisa Kudrow, which was loosely based on the story of Nick Perry. So I always thought that was like a crazy story. I mean, I guess maybe it was more well known around these parts, but I think it was a national story.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that, and I wish Nick was still alive. I'd take him to do merch on the next Less Than Jake run.
I guarantee he could get around the fees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we made $80,000 tonight. How? We only sold $4 grand worth of shirts.
Yeah, Nick Perry. I don't know. You gotta respect the hustle in a way. I looked at, April 24th, 1980, big day. So I looked at a few other things about that. The number 1 song on April 24th of 1980 was Call Me by Blondie.
Oh,
it's a pretty good one to be the number 1 song. And the number 1 movie that day was Kramer versus Kramer. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have. Kramer versus Kramer was the young blonde boy with the father. I want to say that was the dad a boxer?
I think maybe that's not this movie, even though I haven't seen this movie.
No, it's not the boxer. No, I think maybe he's a lawyer. I've seen Kramer versus Kramer. Yeah.
Well, it actually won Best Picture, and it also won Best Director. It won Best Actor for Dustin Hoffman, Best Supporting Actress for Meryl Streep, and Best Adapted Screenplay. It was a story of a divorce, and it was the highest grossing movie of the year before, of 1979. So I have to see that one. I looked at what shows were on TV that day too, and it was Mork and Mindy, Nanu.
Okay. Was 8 is enough?
I didn't see that listed.
Okay.
I only saw certain things listed. I saw Benson. You remember Benson?
Of course, yeah.
2020 and The Rockford Files.
Okay.
Were all on TV that day. So anyway, enough about that huge historic day. 2 years later, in 1982, on April 24th, Kelly Clarkson was born. My birthday buddy. My birthday buddy.
So she's 41.
Yep. Another birthday buddy. 2 years later, 1984, swing, Tyson Ritter was born of the All-American Rejects.
No kidding.
Me, Kelly Clarkson, and Tyson Ritter. That'd be a good band.
It would be a good. What would you play though? Would you play bass or would you play drums?
Yeah, no. Tyson could play guitar. I'll play bass. Kelly Clarkson could play drums.
Okay.
She could sing and play drums. Hey everybody, we'll be right back with the after party after a few words from our sponsors.
Get your saddest songs together and get ready for a decidedly not sad time at Sad Song Summer Camp, July 15th through the 18th at Full Moon Resort in the Catskills. Join the Milk Carton Kids, Joe Henry, Paper Wings, and more for an unforgettable musical experience just 2.5 hours from New York City. Whether you're a songwriter or a fan, this all-inclusive retreat offers immersive classes, performances, and the chance to step beyond backstage. Every participant gets hands-on time with the artists to fine-tune their songwriting, plus immersive classes and evening performances in a stunning mountain setting. Spots are extremely limited. Learn more and register now at www.sadsongsummercamp.com/DeMakes.
Hey guitar lovers, what if I told you that this fall you could escape to the Catskills and spend 4 days learning from the greatest Telecaster players on the planet? Introducing Masters of the Telecaster, happening September 29th through October 3rd at the beautiful Full Moon Resort in Big Indian, New York, just 2.5 hours from New York City. You'll get up close and personal with guitar legends like Guthrie Trapp, Larry Campbell, G.E. Smith, Carolyn Wonderland, Cindy Cash Dollar, and many more. These icons have played with everyone from Bob Dylan and Willie Nelson to Norah Jones and Mick Jagger. It's an all-inclusive, once-in-a-lifetime music vacation featuring world-class instruction, gourmet meals, gorgeous accommodations, and jam sessions in the heart of the Catskills. And no, you don't need to own a Telecaster to come. All skill levels are welcome, and scholarships are available through Music Masters Collective. Space is extremely limited, so grab your spot now. mastersoftetelecaster.org/the500. Once again, that's mastersoftetelecaster.org/the500. I'll see you there. I might go.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with a Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
I think you're on mute.
Workday starting to sound the same?
I think you're on mute.
Find something that sounds better for your career on LinkedIn. With LinkedIn Job Collections, you can browse curated collections by relevant industries and benefits, like flex PTO or hybrid workplaces, so you can find the right job for you. Get started at linkedin.com/jobs. Finding where you fit. LinkedIn knows how.
Lowe's knows how to help pros save. That's why the new MyLowe's Pro Rewards program lets you unlock exclusive member deals on the things you need every day on the job. Plus, MyLowe's Pro Rewards members can get volume discounts on eligible orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Exclusions, more terms and restrictions apply. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change. Don't miss your chance to spring into deals at Lowe's. Right now, get 5 select 1-pint annuals for just $5. Plus, get a free 60-volt Toro battery when you purchase a select 60-volt Toro electric mower. With deals like these, your yard wins. Shop in-store or online today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/30 while supplies last. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Excludes Hawaii.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. The Department of Defense is working with Google to help secure America's digital defense systems, from establishing cloud-based zero-trust solutions to deploying the latest AI technology. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
And now, back to the after party. That same day, in 1984, when Tyson Ritter was born, Apple released the Apple IIc portable computer, costing, what would you guess the price of the Apple II portable computer would be?
Oh, gosh.
In 1984.
Oh, this is probably low. 1,500?
Yeah, you're pretty close. $1,295.
Okay.
Yeah. Chris, 1 year later, 1985, you brought it up. You foreshadowed it nicely. We Are the World by USA for Africa was the number one song.
Yes. And you would have been really
5.
little then.
5.
Yeah. But do you remember that at all?
Of course.
At 5? Okay. Because that was... It was insane. And it was like everyone started jumping on the bandwagon then. That's when, all these things, Live Aid and Farm Aid, and, it just... seemed to be the thing to do was get into philanthropy, but it didn't get much bigger than We Are the World.
Yep. Huge song. 5 years later, 1990, this happened in Florida, your home state, Chris. The Space Shuttle Discovery blasted off from Cape Canaveral, carting the $1.5 billion Hubble Space Telescope.
Oh.
Yep. And that same day, Chris, the number one song, April 24th of 1990, one of my all-time favorites, Nothing Compares to You, from Sinead. 2 years later, in 1992, David Bowie and fashion model Iman got married in a secret ceremony in Switzerland.
Guess it wasn't so secret if we know about it.
Yeah, well, they kept it a secret for a couple weeks. That's very same day in 1992, Chris. I guess you haven't watched it yet. It's come up a lot, but
wait.
What?
I'm April 24th of 92. Are you going to talk about the riots in LA?
Well, that was 3 days earlier when that started.
That was earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was, I thought that was on the 24th. Sorry. Okay.
I think it was, isn't the song, I mean, I'll never forget it because of the song, the Sublime song. Is it April?
Well, that too. Yeah. I just knew it was late April.
It'd be awesome if they did a version that was April 24th, 1992. April 24th, 1992. Chris Fafalius is 12. Where are you?
So where were you going with this? Sorry about that.
April 24th, 1992. Joe Keery of Stranger Things is born. Joe Keery, who's Steve Harrington on Stranger Things, is born in 1992. If you watch Stranger Things, you know that Steve is like the best character. He's the one with the hair, Chris. I don't know if you know anything about Stranger Things whatsoever, but he's a very good character. 3 years later, in 1995, the number one song was This Is How We Do It. So when I was 15, This Is How We Do It was the number one song on my birthday. Good song.
Okay.
5 years later, speaking of number one songs, this one I don't really remember that well. Maybe you do. Was Maria Maria by Santana featuring the product G&B. Remember Maria Maria? It was a
I know he was Santana was doing a lot of collaborations, and obviously the Rob Thomas song was the smash. I don't remember anybody besides Rob working with him then. Did Ricky Martin do a song with him?
Sure. I don't know. Seems like he
sure.
would. I know that Michelle Branch did some awesome ones. Those are two of my favorites.
She did. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to look at what the number one song was on 2001 because I turned 21. And you know where I turned 21, Chris? Vegas. I was in Vegas for my 21st birthday. Unfortunately, my friend Johnny, who was there with me, was still only 20. So he couldn't really party with me too hard in Vegas. But we were there for like a work trip. Like we were like a conference or something. But yeah. Oh, but my point was the number one song. I love this because you know I'm a fan. Janet's All For You, which is a great Janet song.
Yeah, that was a little later, Janet. That was 01?
Yep. 01.
Okay.
Yep. Big one. Big one. Love Janet. 1 year later, love this story. In 2002, April 24th, Jewel broke her collarbone and a rib when she was thrown from a horse at her boyfriend's ranch. Poor Jewel. I'm glad Jewel was okay.
Something rings a bell with that. I do remember that happening. I wouldn't have been able to tell you it was Jewel, but
yeah, I'm glad her soul was saved.
I've learned more in this episode than any other after party, all of them combined, probably.
Yeah. I'll never forget that Jewel was thrown from a horse on my birthday. 3 years later, April 24th of 2005, I go every 5 years here trying to see what the number one song was. Candy Shop by 50 Cent. I can't believe that was a number one song. I know you had a lot of number one songs, but Candy Shop? Really? Okay.
Yeah, that didn't seem like it was a number one.
Yeah. In 2007, Whitney Houston divorced Bobby Brown on my birthday. What a present to me.
She finally got wise.
Yeah. That was not a good match. No. 1 year later, in 2008, Wesley Snipes was sentenced to jail on tax evasion charges on my birthday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. 2 years later, in 2010, this is a good one. My 30th birthday. The number one song was a song that I have on my playlist when I run on the treadmill. Rude Boy by Rihanna. Come on, rude boy, can you get it up? Good song, man. Man, I love some Rihanna songs.
We even got you to sing this episode too. See,
I wish people instead of Happy Birthday would sing Rude Boy to me on my birthday. I would really, really like that. Got a couple more things here, Chris, before we close this out.
All right.
In 2012, on April 24th, the U.S. Justice Department filed criminal charges against former BP engineer Kurt Mix, who was arrested for intentionally destroying evidence that had to do with the Deepwater Horizon oil spill that happened in 2010. He had been accused of deleting text messages that contained details on the progress of trying to cap the spill. So, seems like a real scumbag.
Yeah, a real slick SOB.
Yes, for sure. A real slick asshole.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. And two more things here, Chris. On April 24th of 2018, for the first time ever, streaming music services overtook worldwide sales of CDs and vinyl. First time ever, according to the IFPI, which is the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry.
And that was 2018?
Yep.
I can't believe it took that long.
Right. I kind of agree. People were still buying CDs in 2017. Like, more people weren't streaming in 2017 than buying CDs. I find that hard to believe. It feels it feels like they just didn't have the statistics yet or something.
Well, I think also this world is a really big place, and there are millions and millions and millions of people in the Far East and places like India that their internet has finally gotten to the point by 2018 where they can stream. So I think that may have something to do with it as well, because the physical CDs were still selling in places like the Far East and India in way greater numbers than they were here for many years.
Right, and it's streaming, so I guess we got to keep in mind maybe they aren't calling think about 2012, people would buy things on iTunes. That's different than streaming. So
correct.
Maybe this is right. I still would have guessed it would have been a few years earlier than that because streaming is free. Hey, when Less Than Jake releases your next album, whenever that is, will you get CDs? Did you have CDs of Silver Linings?
Yeah, we did. We still make them, but they're not. They're more for promo than anything, and we take them on the road, and there's fans that want to support, and they still maybe have a CD player in their car, and they'll buy it.
Yeah, I wonder if you'll get to a point next Punchline album. We did have a limited run of CDs of the last Punchline album in 2018, but I don't know if next one we will. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we'll have records. People want records, but I don't know. It's crazy to think of that. Maybe we'll have a short run of them.
We put so much more attention into vinyl now and the packaging of that.
Yep.
It used to be the other way around. You had to, shrink everything. How's this going to fit into the CD booklet? And how is it going to be presented? And now it's completely backwards, and the CD is just an afterthought now.
It's fun because a vinyl layout is gives you so much more room to be artistic. It's such more of a product than a chintzy little thing,
Oh, yeah. Well, think about the LP when it went to cassette, and you had bands like, Iron Maiden with this, crazy, artwork that you had to shrink down. And then it went to the CD, which was a little bit bigger, but vinyl's where it's at.
Yeah. You had to get a magnifying glass out to read the lyrics in the cassettes.
Exactly.
And then, Chris, the last thing I have here, I don't know if this will mean anything to you, but in 2020 on April 24th, the number one song was Tootsie Slide by Drake, which I do like so many Drake songs, but that is not one of his better ones.
Tootsie Slide. I have no idea what that could possibly be referring to.
I never thought of it that way. There is a little dance that goes along with it. That's a cheesy little dance, but All right. So that's it, man. April 24th, a very historic day.
Well, happy birthday, Chris. It was a pleasure doing not only this after party with you, but the episode in the main feed. So happy birthday.
Thanks, man.